What is this shite in the background? Welcome to Check That Book, a special place where we get acquainted with the most disturbing books ever written and take a look at some disturbing film adaptations of said books. Today is going to be a bit of a different event because, I've taken a wee break due to me health. Also, I've noticed that this channel is kind of, I'm not going to say dying. It's not dying. It's just not doing too well. Albeit, I am very, very grateful for all of the people that I have here with me. Hi, yes, you. Thank you. This is awesome. This means a lot, and I'm flattered that you are here, that you are interested in either my wee poetry collection or my ramblings about disturbing books and disturbing film adaptations. Which brings me to my topic, the topic of today's video. I'm so all over the place, or maybe I just haven't properly recovered yet, but hear me out. If you are hearing something in the background, then my apologies, but there is a church renovation, and I happen to live currently near a church, so they have their own business. I have mine, and my business today is to tell you all about, as the name of the video suggests, my top 10 of the most disturbing movies that are based on a book. I did not I wouldn't dare to say that these are the most disturbing movies based on a book that are ever made. Maybe there's more. I'm yet to discover more, perhaps. But currently, yes. As of the status quo, right now, I have the list. Again, as usual, I have the list of 10 films. They're all based on a piece of writing. And this is currently, again, this is very subjective. This is my list. You might agree or disagree with me. Share your opinions in the comment section as usual. Let's just kickstart this one, shall we? For a change. And at number 10, we have Hellraiser. There's no doubt about it. Clive Barker is one of the most iconic names in horror writing. And his distinctive mix of fright and fantasy make for some truly memorable stories indeed, and his novella, The Hellbound Heart, offered a glimpse into a sadistic and shocking world inhabited by demonic beings called Cenobites. The Hellbound Heart served as an inspiration for a major horror franchise that started with Hellraiser. If you are a horror fan, even if you're not a horror fan, actually, I'm pretty sure you've seen this image of Pinhead. That's the nickname of the creature. And yeah, the story is truly interesting. I have read Clive Barker. I admire him. I wouldn't dare say it's my favorite genre and this is my favorite book. No, but I admire it for what it is. I like it. It's out there, along with the film. Hellraiser captured our attention and turned our stomachs to no wonder, since Barker himself wrote and directed it for the screen. Ryu Murakami comes in at number 9. I'm pretty sure I mispronounced it again, but yes, Murakami, by the way, seems to be quite a popular surname for Japanese writers. Anyways, yes, it is Audition. Takashi Miike is a master of Japanese horror and of horror in general. I, as a film lover, oh come on, it's such a classic, dare I say? If your favorite horror stories consist of slow burn thrillers and twisted finales, then Audition is the film for you. This is a Japanese horror shocker from director Takashi Miike, and it's highly regarded in the world of horror filmmaking. But before it was a silver screen hit, capturing the attention of future gore icons like Eli Roth and Tarantino, Audition was actually a novel. Yes, not many people know that, and it comes as a surprise. But to be fair, the book is chilling. I highly recommend. If you don't know, I'm gonna be short. It follows the story of a widower who organizes this fake cast audition to pick himself a new wife. I mean, kind of harmless on one hand, but on the other hand, kind of creepy. But that's not the subject matter here. It is the girl, Asami, that he eventually picks to be his girlfriend and, well, eventual partner, spouse, or you name it. It's the girlfriend, what she is about, who she is, and what she does. That is a very twisted and interesting tale on its own. But Takashi Miike's movie, yes, if you Google the most disturbing films ever made, Audition usually is out there. If not in the top 10, then in the top 20 for sure. Why is it there? Well, I am not a channel for movies. I am not an expert, and I'm not the right person maybe to discuss this. But from a standpoint where I do my book versus movie reviews, I could say that yes, this one as a film does remind me more of a romantic not a comedy, just a romance, slow burn kind of thing. It is not as shocking, well, until closer to the end. I just recommend you go into it as blindly as you can because it is an intense watch. And if you are looking for mindless horror or splatpunk, no, the book and the movie are not for you then. It's not mindless. It is, yeah, I get it. We could discuss, we could talk about what's the lesson to be learned here, but does every piece of cinema or every book does it need to teach you a lesson? No. When we talk about fairy tales in my Not in Love with a Fairy Tale rubric on the channel, then yes, I always raise this question, well, what does this supposed to teach us, right? Here, no, there's nothing but an interesting and intense story. If you've been on the channel for a while, then you know that I've already talked about this. Number 8, Requiem for a Dream by Hubert Selby Jr., a novel that concerns 4 New Yorkers whose lives spiral out of control as they succumb to their addictions. Written by Aronofsky and Hubert Jr. himself, this film is truly spectacular with some stellar performances. It's a terrifying yet brilliant cautionary tale, unlike the previous entry we talked about, where it's just the intense, kind of creepy, mystical story. Here, yeah, this is the sort of film you would want to show to the kids these days, am I right? If you want a bit of a deeper look into it, then check out my playlist where I cover some of the books on this list today, book versus movie. The link to the playlist will be in the description down below, and Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream is also discussed. Haneke happens to be one of my favorite film directors when it comes to the uncanny and disturbing, and oh boy, does this. Number 7, The Piano Teacher. Let me try to explain why. Yes, I've talked about this on my channel already, the book, I mean, but Haneke truly did this book justice, I believe, mainly because, again, of the stellar cast. I'm not obsessed, I'm just saying I deeply admire this one, and it truly left me disturbed and deep in my thoughts after viewing it. My thoughts on the book? Again, you can find it on my channel. I talk about it, Elfriede Jelinek's The Piano Teacher, but this film is something else. It tells the story of an unmarried piano teacher, marvelously played by Isabelle Huppert, at a Vienna conservatory, living with her mother in a state of emotional and sexual disequilibrium, who enters into a sadomasochistic relationship with her student. Now, mind you, the student is an adult, so it's all consensual, but intense nonetheless. I love this movie. I love this interpretation, and I'm yet to talk about this because I am making a video about book versus movie, piano teacher. It's going to be a separate topic, and yes, I do favor the movie more. Maybe I'm a bit biased because, again, Haneke is truly a master of his craft. I really admire him. But this one, let me put it this way. You will be touched, even if you are disconnected from the subject matter as much as possible. Even if whether you're a boy or a girl, it doesn't matter. You will feel connected to the story and you will be disturbed. You will be bothered. You might want to reach out to the characters in this movie. At certain points, let me describe it as briefly as I can. Emotionally, at certain points in this film, you are feeling sorry for almost every character, kind of. And at some points in the film, you kind of hate each and every character. And it might be the same character you felt sorry for or admired minutes ago. That's yes. No, I'm not a pervert. I mean, not in this regard. Maybe I am kind of a cinematographic pervert, if that's even a thing. But I do, it's an emotional thing here. I'm an emotional cinematographic pervert. Damn, I'm sinking myself. The thing is, if you know, you know. If you don't, should I warn you about this? I will in my video about book versus movie, but check it out. The Piano Teacher on my channel. I talk about the book, and the film will not shy away from things. Just be ready to be uncomfortable. And sometimes it's necessary to maybe trigger yourself or drag yourself out of depression. You might ask how, but I am the sort of person where sometimes you need to see even more depressive stuff in order to drag yourself out of the depressive state. Yes, I'm this weird sort of person. If you want something happy-go-lucky, well, what are you doing on this channel in the first place? We do talk about disturbing literature here, and sometimes disturbing films. But sometimes, again, we need to see some messed up shit in order to feel a bit better. And that is the weird way our psychology sometimes works. A huge spectrum of emotions is also to be expected with the next entry, my number 6, The Road, originally by Cormac McCarthy. Its film adaptation, again, is very bleak, sad, and just unlike with The Piano Teacher, this one will ruin your day. It will not ignite you, it will not give you some, a kaleidoscope of emotions. It won't make you feel like, emotional swings, the mood swings that you get with the previous entry or entries, most of them. This one, no, this is downright despair. Despair is kind of like a key theme of this one, which is why it is closer to the top on the list. Yes, I've talked about The Road before on the channel, but about this film, why is it disturbing? Yes, I've mentioned that within this post-apocalyptic scenario, there is a lot of torment of a wee family consisting of a man and his son. But this is a masterpiece in its own genre, and how our main character is tormented throughout the movie by his visions of the wife and how she took her own life. It is a truly spectacular piece of depressive work. Number 5, Bastard Out of Carolina. When Dorothy Allison wrote her semi-autobiography, well, I wonder if she knew that this will be adapted into such a good movie, honestly. And it's not necessarily a disturbing film. I mean, it is, but this is not something you'd immediately expect when you search for disturbing films. This is some truly deep and interesting emotional tale that I highly recommend you watch and read. In 1996, this American drama film, directed by Angelica Houston, forgive me if I mispronounced that, it is a sad and deep story about a child that grew up in a not such a favorable household and her intense relationship with, first and foremost, her mother. I highly recommend checking this one out because despite its age, the film is a really a good one. This is a gem if you want to see some good old American cinema and get emotional in the meantime. Two recently orphaned sisters are placed in the care of their mentally disturbed Aunt Ruth. And well, shit hits the fan when this Aunt Ruth starts to abuse one of them in particular and invites the neighborhood kids to join in on the abuse. Yes, this is an adaptation of a book that is also based on a true, horrifying, true case. This is The Girl Next Door taking my number 4 spot. I am abhorred by this entire story, knowing also that this is a real deal. But yes, unlike the real story in the film slash the novel, the abuser is actually a relative of our main characters. And that makes it even more disturbing, dare I say, because what the fuck? This is so fucked up when your own relatives do this to you. But abuse is abuse, and all forms and variations of it are horrible. I get a bit emotional talking about this one. If you've seen my short video on the channel titled "I don't want to talk about this," because I really didn't want to, and I still don't. Perhaps I'm not the right person to, but it just upholds me. The film is well done. I have to give him that. There's also another adaptation, a later adaptation of Jack Ketchum's The Girl Next Door, called An American Crime. And I watched both films. I'm not sure if I want to dive deep into the analysis of them. I've done my book versus film, but I've only covered The Girl Next Door remake. I didn't cover The American Crime, but if you guys would like to... If you're interested in this subject, I'll give it to you, no problem. I mean, it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. It just makes me feel extra emotional, and I need to get my shit together to properly talk about this and be in the right place mentally, I suppose so. But if you're interested in a longer video covering the original story of Sylvia Likens, Jack Ketchum's book, and the two film adaptations, then let me know in the comments section. I will make this long ass video for you. Maybe even analyze shit. Let me know. This is truly a sad and very realistic, well, because it is based on true events, story of some truly mentally sick woman whose depraved sense of discipline will soon lead to unspeakable acts of abuse and torture. We've reached the top 3. Ho ho, can you guess it? Can you guess it? Holy shit. No, of course, but no, you will be surprised, maybe, but my number 3 is going to be Salo, or 120 Days of Sodom, by Marquis de Sade, adapted to screen by Pier Paolo Pasolini. I've talked about this. Please let me not. Why is it here? Mainly I'm going to say, why is it here? Well, it's here because I want it to be. A group of fascists round up 9 adolescent boys and girls and subject them to a 120 days of physical, mental, and sexual torture. And that's about it, to be honest. It is here because, let me tell you, the other 2 entries, in my opinion, are a bit more realistic, and thusly, well, again, I also look not just at the story, but since we're looking at the films, I look at the film adaptation in general and how do I perceive it. Yeah, as much as Salo is a disturbing / disgusting movie, and difficult to sit through. It is a long watch and definitely not for everyone. But then the other two take it up a notch, I believe. Mainly cinematographically, because one could argue that all of the three stories, my top three, starting with Solo and moving upwards, all of the three, they are disconnected from each other, kind of, apart from maybe the next entry. But the way the movies are made is also what I'm looking at here, not just at the story, because all three deserve to have a number one spot, because war crimes are disturbing, rape is disturbing, child abuse is disturbing. We have it all covered. As you might have noticed, blood, guts, and gore are all left behind on the list, so we're really already past them, including some psychological terror. No, this one is legit. What truly makes my skin crawl in this regard, when I see this film, yeah, I don't like it. I mean, it's a good movie, but it's horrible. With Solo, though, I'm not gonna call it a good movie. Maybe I did in the previous video about Solo. I don't remember anymore, you guys, but no, I couldn't have called it a good movie. This is an absurd. It is a good watch, but not necessarily a good film. Why is it a good watch, though? Well, I'm planning to actually cover this in my first essay video that will someday soon be out on the channel, about the theme of the disturbing. Why do people watch, read, and create disturbing? But that's for another time. For now, Solo is on number 3 because the other two, to me, are slightly more disturbing when it comes to cinematography. Remember how I just mentioned, just like seconds ago, that this next movie will kind of be connected to Solo? Well, war is what connects them, and war is always disturbing, and to me, Jerzy Kosinski's The Painted Bird was an intense read as much as it was an intense viewing experience. Again, I talked about this on my channel. I don't want to get too deep into it. The link is in the description. You can take a look at it. I talked about The Painted Bird before, both about the book separately and about this film adaptation. But why is it my number 2? Well, like I said, it is grotesque, but to me, so freaking real. It seems so real because you never know what the fuck could have been going on there. And this is just a story from one child's perspective. Yeah, there's this argument about the supposedly autobiography that's, put into this film. But let me tell you, I've seen and read some truly disturbing shit, and where's the guarantee that somewhere out there some lad didn't go through similar shit? Especially during the war. Come on. Brutally uncompromising in its portrayal of Nazi Germany, The Painted Bird is a difficult watch that justifies its stark horror with searing impact. And it's a truly emotional ride that will take you down the road of despair, ending with a glimpse of hope, perhaps. A truly masterfully made film. Again, not for everyone, but let's move on to our number 1 spot. Now, this can be a bit controversial, this can be a bit strange, but hear me out. Recently, I've talked about The Virgin Spring on this channel, and I also mentioned that this inspired a shit ton of scary and disturbing and hard to watch films such as I Spit on Your Grave, for example, or The Lost House on the Left, and a plethora of similar rape and revenge films. But yes, my number 1 spot goes to The Last House on the Left, and it is based on the novel. It is based on The Virgin Spring by Ulla Isaksson. I still can't put my finger on it, honestly. But the novel itself is disturbing and creepy, and take into account its age and where it takes place. Also, this it makes you think that, yeah, shit like this has been going on for centuries, honestly. Even you understand that this is a tale as old as time, and this is so fucking unfortunate that this shit keeps on happening. And to a degree, I feel infuriated that this is adapted into film so many times and overused and abused, this subject. Yes, your basic rape and revenge. A girl gets assaulted, and then she gets a revenge, which again is a good thing, I believe, but yeah, usually it is like this. Films such as that show us first half of the movie is basically the assault and the preparation for the assault, so to speak. It's horrible. It's a horrible watch, and it's emotionally intense. No matter whether you're a lad or a lass, you'll still be disturbed if you are an adequate human being. You feel disgusted, appalled, you feel sorry, you feel sad, you feel angry, defensive. I understand why so many people can't watch such films. I had to sit through a lot of them, a plethora, and pretty much every single I Spit on Your Grave film, every single remake, every single one of the franchise. Anywho's, this is not why we are here. My number one film for currently, to me, the most disturbing films ever made that were based on a piece of writing would be The Last House on the Left. And I'm talking about both versions, actually, because to me they're both kind of good. I mean, in the sense of emotional intensity and filmmaking. But again, to each their own. The premise is simple. A couple shows kindness to a group of strangers, unaware that the same men just assaulted and murdered their daughter. However, when the truth is revealed, the devastated parents plan revenge. Both the 1972 version and the 2009 versions are good in their own way, and the 72 version is actually pretty damn scary for its time. And yes, while we could argue that the 2009 version is a bit too polished and didn't have the guts to do what the original film did, I'm trying to be without spoilers here right now, because these are some truly intense films, both of them. And to a degree, the original, the one made in the 70s, is still a bit more revolting to me. It is a harder watch, not because it's budget or production history. No, it's actually not that bad. Not that bad for its time. After all, this one was made by Wes Craven. Oh, he's no stranger to horror. Two teenage girls heading to a rock concert for one's birthday try to score some illegal substances in the city. Well, and that always ends well, right? Where they are kidnapped and brutalized by a gang of psychopathic convicts. And then they find themselves at the mercy of the parents of the girl. Again, everything kind of happens as an accident. Them discovering the house of the parents of the girl they just tortured, of course. In 2009 remake, yes, the kidnapping, the premise is the same and the kidnapping happens as well, but the torture in itself, I'll say it's equally as brutal. It's just that some moments here and there, again, depending on the audience of the time, I think, depending on what you want. Some films were in favor of the so-called final girl concept, and some films weren't. Maybe, again, it's about the time period, but yeah, you decide. I mean, if you're into horror cinema, then this one is kind of a subgenre there. It is a disturbing movie, both of them. And check them out. Both are good in their own ways. I am not here to deeply discuss this, but they are currently my number one when it comes to a movie that is based on a piece of disturbing writing. And The Virgin Spring is a disturbing piece of writing. Yeah. Whew. Thus far, this is all I have for you. This was my subjective top 10 of the most disturbing films that were based on a piece of literature of sorts. Yes. So I hope this was interesting. I hope that maybe you learned a thing or two, maybe you found something of interest that you might look into a bit deeper, or maybe you were just, having a nice cup of tea or something stronger while, listening to me in the background. I heard that some find that soothing, and that's a pleasure. Anyways, before we wrap this up, I'd like to remind you all that I have a book of my own called Misanthropically Inclined that is available right now on Amazon with a wee bit of a discount, specifically on the ebook. So the links will be in the description. Check them out. Yeah. And also my audio stopped working for some strange reason. But it is enough for us to say goodbye for now properly. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like disturbing content, consider giving this video a boost in the form of an erect thumb, and make sure to subscribe for more. I'll see you all as soon as possible, and meanwhile, take good care of yourselves and your loved ones. Cheers.